Well, good morning. Shalom, Mishpachah. Shalom. As always, first things first, federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, parody, which doesn't infringe on that individual's copyright under Section 17 USC 107. Good morning. How are you, Mishpachah? And as always, let's just say this. Remember, we need to stay accountable. We need to keep our heads down and our hands up, always asking the Father to teach us to pray. Man need always to pray. We need to be holding up holy hands, praying always, speaking to ourselves in psalms, spiritual songs, and hymns. We should always be praying. We should always be studying these scriptures, keeping our head in these scriptures, making sure that we be like the Bereans. We steadily stay in these daily. The Father always has something for me in these scriptures every time I crack the book. So if you do it daily and you study it, it gets in you to the point where, when you don't have your book, he's still dealing with you, and those scriptures are in your head and you can meditate on them day and night. So, wow, looks like we're frozen. Looks like we are frozen. Okay, let's see what we can do here about getting ourselves unstuck and unfrozen, because I see everything, but I'm not moving. I am frozen. So let's see if we can do something about this. I don't really know if I can, but we'll take a stab at it and see if we can. If not, then I'll take a pause for the cause and start it all over real quick. Wow. Looks like we are. Let's see if we can do this. No, that doesn't do it. How about if we... Give me just a second, Mishpachah. Let's see if we can bring another camera online. See if that'll unfreeze it. Where is it? Did that do it? That didn't do it either. Let's see. There's always something. I want to tell you, there's always something. We're dealing with this fallen angel technology. And it just does not want to behave itself sometimes. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill this stream, and we're going to come right back into the stream. Okay? So just hold on, Mishpachah. I'm going to kill the stream. We're going to come right back into the stream. Okay. I think we're in now. Yeah. Looks like we're in now. Okay. Well, sorry about that. Don't know what happened. Really is not a concern even of why. I know our adversary does not want us to come forward a lot of times with some of the things that we'd like to talk about. And that being the case, we are going to find all the time that there will be situations and cases where we just can't come through with what we need because of this technology. Sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. Nothing, that we've done. I was looking at something last week where was listening to a brother's broadcast and their entire screen went black and they could see themselves and they knew that they were broadcasting, but on our side we saw nothing and they just kept going. So, and then sometimes you can't stop a stream, when you're in the heart of it. I think they were like maybe an hour and a half, almost 2 hours in, It would be pointless to stop it. So they just, as long as we could hear, they just kept going. And I commend you for that. But in this case, we are at the beginning and at the very, very top. So it's okay. It's okay. So what I want to say is, first of all, we will be using the Hebrew Israelite scriptures to come out of. We will be using eSword as well. So if you have the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, then you might want to get yours out. We have the eSword up as well. And that's what we're going to go into for the most part now. I don't have any other articles that I'm going to use today. So what we're going to do primarily is just look at something that I've been being dealt with. So this week I asked the Most High for some new material, and He gave it to me. And one of the songs that I'm working on now kept me up all night. And because the more I worked on it, the more it drove me into worship. And then when I got into worship, I couldn't stop weeping. So you can't work on a tune if you can't see clearly because your eyes are all wet and tears are rolling down your face. So I stopped where I was, and I turned it into a 4-minute piece. And because I was the condition that I was in, and I couldn't stop. And when I went to bed, I just turned it on and I let it play all night. And let me tell you, I slept like a rock. That was the best night's sleep I've had in a long time. And so I just got up thanking the Most High, and I went off to see Mama. So I went off to see Mama this morning. I just got back. It's a 2-mile ride. I get my 2-mile ride in twice a week. Go see Mama. And I got over there, fed her breakfast, hung out with her, and got my sister on Messenger so that she could talk to her mom. And so by the time Mama got tired and went to sleep, I always wait until she falls asleep. Because I usually get there when she's asleep. And so when she wakes up, I'm standing there in front of her, ready to feed her breakfast and talk to her and hang out with her. And then when she, gets full and she's, tired, she falls asleep, then I'll vanish in her sleep. So when she wakes up again, I'm already gone. But this, what I'm about to talk about today has been on my mind for a couple of weeks, but it didn't come to the forefront until today when I was off to see Mama. And it really, really stood up in my face today when I went off to see Mama. So, first things first, we are going to be, I want to talk about something. We're going to be in James, chapter 2, just looking at James chapter 2. We're going to go back to Ezekiel when I do another live or something. But this was in my face today, and I have to address it because, again, when the Father is taking me someplace, I have to go. I have to follow it. When you crack the book open and it falls open to a particular page, and this is where we are today. And this had been on my mind, but I didn't particularly say, okay, I want to do this today. It's just, it came up and I said, okay, so I'm just going to follow where I'm being led and just read it and talk about it and just see where he is. So it was something that I remember I had said to you guys before. I was talking to you about this Edomite who was out in front of my house. A friend of mine whose father had died. His wife died in his arms. And then about a year later, his dad died in front of him. That caused him to be spun out in a way that it caused him to turn to substances to try to ease his pain. And a lot of times we turn to substances trying to ease our pain, not knowing that what we need is our Abba Yah. We need our Savior. We need Yahshua HaMashiach. We need the person who shed his blood, so that he can give us his spirit to wash away that pain inside of us. Um, and I didn't get mine, fully get it until the beginning of this pagan year, Greco-Roman year 2019. At the beginning, when the Father was dealing with me, I was reading the Tefillah Yehovah out of the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, and I was sitting at my piano. I think we were flipped around the other way or something. I was sitting over, where was the piano? Oh, the piano was underneath that window right there. And I was broken for like 20, 30 minutes, reading the Tefillah. And I started playing these chords, and I was reading the Tefillah Yehovah, and the next thing you know, I was a blithering idiot, just awash in tears. And he was dealing with me on the inside because I had some issues going on in the family, in my personal family. And I didn't want to be dealing with these issues in my personal family, and I was tired of people drawing me into their mess. And so I had to find a way, and I kept for months I was asking the Father, how do I get out of this? How do I get past this? Because I do not want to be beefing with the family. And so what do I need to do to get out of this and make this stop, make it end? And so I had to go public with it out here on YouTube and Facebook, because no one was talking to each other, but everybody looks at everybody's pages, and then they sit back and talk about one another. And so I said, well, it doesn't matter what they say to me or what they say about me, because they're not going to say anything to me. It doesn't matter what they say about me, but I'm going public and I'm going to air the laundry. I didn't want to have to do it that way, but no one would talk to me. They want to sit back and talk about me, but no one would talk to me. So I said, okay, no matter what you say, I felt like Eminem in 8 Mile. I just put it all out there and said, now what you going to tell the world about me? Now what are you going to tell them? What do you have to say? I told them all. I told everything. So now what are you going to say about me? So at that point, when there was nothing left to say, that's when people started trickling back in. But by that time, I had already squashed the beef. I was like, look, if we're not talking, we're not talking. If you owe me money, forget it. It's paid. I don't want to beef. I'm done. And so throughout the year later, people started coming back, And so that's kind of where we are today, because here we are, family, you and I, us, who know who we are, that we are part of the dispersion, descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. Let me see if I have this in here, because I'm going to show you something. I thought I had it. I may have it in here. Yeah, I do. I have it. Okay, so I've shared this before, okay, and so I'll say this and then we'll move along. But that is my family right there, and the little beautiful African Hebrew chocolate lady dead center is my great grandmother, who is the daughter of a former slave. So I know where I come from, of a sorts, okay, because I'm getting into the family history and doing the genealogy and the ancestry searches and all of that, trying to trace back the records to see who is who. And this all started because my father wouldn't say anything to anyone about his background, his lineage. So we had to go digging through records and genealogies to try to figure out who we are. Because I can go back down her great grandma's side and find out everything down her side, but knowing that she's the daughter of a former slave meant a lot to me, because that said to me, it told me that I was on the right track as far as when I started to discover who I was. Okay. Now we know that a lot of our Hebrew people got caught up off that slave coast and got brought here, and that Pope Nicholas and King John placed them there on the west coast of Africa to be slaves after they got kicked out of Portugal and Spain. That's a whole different history. That's a whole nother history about how they got there. But he named the place the Kingdom of Judah, and called it the Slave Coast, so that the slavers would know where to go to pick up the slaves. They knew who they were coming to get. They knew exactly who they were coming to get. So I had to go all the way back to that, right? So getting into that and finding out, just who we were, it helped me to understand how we beef, and we shouldn't be beefing. But here we are as a people, Okay. And we don't get along with each other, right? The majority of that is the Willie Lynch syndrome, how they taught our women to not trust the men and took that headship away from the men and made her an independent woman. And then to teach her daughters to be so, and to teach her sons to bow down so that he doesn't get killed or attacked or maimed or mauled by master. And therefore, over years and years and years of this, and Willie Lynch said, if we do this correctly, it will continually reset itself. It'll do it in perpetuity. We don't have to do anything else ever. It'll just continue to reset itself. And it has. So until we wake up and find out that this is what has been done to us, then we're not going to be able to reverse the syndrome. And because of that, those of us who are waking up, we still tend to act like the Negroes we are. Okay. If I don't know you, I don't trust you. You're asking me for something. I'm not giving you no help until you prove to me who you are. Okay. So I said that to say this, that white dude out there, that he's the trouble that he's in right now. He has nothing to prove to me. He needed help. I gave it to him. People have come to me and asked me for food. I don't know you. I feed you. Right? You ask me for money. Well, can I get $1, man, so I can get a burger? Come on, let me go buy you a burger. No. Just give me the $1. And I'm looking at you. I'm like, no, I think if I give you the $1, you're going to go buy some alcohol. But you asked me for $1 for a burger. So let's go buy you a burger. That's what you asked for. So let me go get that for you. And so, see, and that's where I am. So if anybody asks me for anything, I'll give it to you. I'll do it for you. But it's not so in Israel. It's not. We don't do that for each other. If I don't know you, Negro, I don't know, you might try to, steal something. And it kind of irks me, after all that we've gone through, that the nation has done to us, to our people, humiliated our men, raped our women, raped our children, killed our young men, gunned us down in the streets, that when I come to you, brother, and I say, hey, man, and you like, well, you got to prove to me who you are first. That makes no sense to me. After all we've been through, are you kidding me? Really? So the Father was dealing with me on this one today. And as I was going through it, I was kind of blown away when I got to James again. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, the sin of partiality. James 2:1, my brethren. No, first off, before I go there, let me do this before I go there. I don't even want to do that first. Let me do this first, because this is more important to understand just where we are. Okay, James 1. First of all, Yaakov, a servant of Elohim and of Adonai Yehoshua HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. The operative word here is scattered, right? I'm talking to you about the slave trade thing. Okay, my great grandmother was a daughter of a slave. Great grandmother was a daughter of a slave. My great grandmother was a daughter of a slave. And daughter of a former slave, put it that way. Which are scattered abroad. Greeting, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. And I want to say this first of all, is that when someone is asking you for help, don't you get tempted not to do so because you don't know who this person is? First of all, he says, my brethren. So he's talking to his own people. He knows that they are scattered abroad. He's saying shalom. But he says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Okay? So a brother comes to you and he says, hey, man, I need some help with something. Okay? First thing I don't know this dude. I don't know. So you're being tempted right off the top to not help your brother. But the scriptures are saying, let patience have her perfect work, so that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. This is trying your faith. Say, hey, look, if a brother asks you for something, first of all, what's in your pocket is not yours in the first place. Half the things that we're given to be a blessing to someone. Brother put out a track. Told me he put the track out. I heard the track and I said, hey man, look, let me remix that for you. People pay me to do that stuff. People pay me to write tracks for them. People pay me to put down drum tracks for them. They pay me to. I didn't charge him. I said, let me fix that for you. I heard it. It's a nice track. I like what you're doing, but it can use a little help. Can I help you with that? Would you let me help you with that? And he did. He sent me the stems. I fixed it up and I sent it back to him. Now, see, once I do my work and I give it to you, I'm done. I did what I did. I gave you that. I gave it to you. So when all these other things started coming out of the woodwork, I'm like, hey, hold up. And it wasn't from him, it was from somewhere else. I'm like, no. I'm working for him. I did a blessing to him. What you're asking, that's something extra. That's different. I'm not talking, this had nothing to do with you. That's between you and him. I did something for him. Okay. Now, if you need to see me, you can talk to me. Talk to me. And then the brother wouldn't even talk to me. He kept going around the outside. You know, see, to me, if you don't come straight in, you're a thief and a robber. You're trying to go out the other way. No. You want to deal with me? You want to see me? Come talk to me. The same way I went man to man with him, the same way he went mano and mano with me, you can come to me. Oh man, I need this and then I need that. Tell the brother I need. No. You come tell the brother. See, I have a problem with people like that, and especially of our nation. You need something from me? Come talk to me, because if I need something from you, I'm gonna let you know. I need it, brother. I need that. Can you help me? I never told a guy no on anything until it seemed like he was trying to use my services for free. No, if I give it to you, that's one thing. But for you to continually come to me and look for it for free, and that's the same thing that the Edomite was doing. And I said to myself, I'm like, look, I'm not going to let the Edomite do it to me, so why would I let you do it? But we have a problem, and we do that to each other constantly. Constantly, take. When will you give? When will you give? So I said that so that we could get into James 2. Okay, and we're going to get into James 2. My brethren, have not the faith of our Lord Yahshua Messiah, the Lord of glory, with respect of persons. This is the sin. I'm going to read it out of the King James, and we're going to go tear it down in the Hebrew Israelite scriptures. Okay, with respect of persons. For if there come unto your assembly a man with a gold ring in goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and ye have a respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and this is not talking about rainbow pride gay. Gay, the word gay, for those of you who are, if you're 40 years and younger, you don't know what gay is. It means happy. That's what it used to mean before it got turned into a sodomite type of thing. Gay meant happy. Okay? He comes in with gay clothing and say unto him, sit thou here in the good place. And then you say to the poor, stand over there or sit here under my footstool, because you stink and your clothes ain't so good. And ye are ye not then partial in yourselves, and have become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom, which he has promised to them that love him? Has he not? James 2:6. But you have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before judgment seats? Do not they blaspheme the worthy name by which you are called? I heard a preacher denounced his faith just a couple days ago. I guess he lost his mind or something. I don't know, but he denounced his faith. He's no longer a Christian. Well, okay for him. He's an Edomite. But okay for him, he's no longer a Christian. But now he's apologizing to the LBGTQRP community, whoever they are, for not accepting them. But your scripture said that they were sodomites. Okay, so let's look at this. Here's the general epistle of James, Jacob, my brethren, have not the faith of our Adonai Yeshua HaMashiach, Adonai of glory, with respect to persons. Don't have this faith and then be separating people out like you're the person who can. You can't. The wheat and the tare have to grow together. The goats and the sheep have to be together until they get separated by the Messiah. Right? So you don't have a place to be respecting people. For if thou come into your assembly a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and you have respect to him that weareth the splendid clothing. See, I like the way he took that out of that and took it back and put in splendid clothing, and saying to him, sit thou here in a good place. And then you say to the poor, stand thou here or sit here under my footstool. Are you not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken or listen, my beloved brethren. Hath not Elohim chosen the poor of this world rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which he hath promised to them that love him? So wait a minute. How did the rich man become the man that Elohim is choosing? No, he chose the poor of this world, rich in faith, to be heirs of the kingdom. He's promised that to them that love him. But you have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before judgment seats? Yeah. 7. Do not they blaspheme the worthy name by which you are called? How many times have you heard them do that? If ye fulfill the royal Torah according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, you do well. Who's your neighbor? Your brother. He's talking to the dispersed, those who were scattered. He's not talking to the world. This letter is written by James, the brother of Yeshua himself. He's writing this letter to the other Hebrews who are scattered. That's your neighbor. That's the one you're going to love as yourself. If you do that, you do well. But if you have respect of persons, you commit a sin and are convinced of the Torah as transgressors. Now see, here's the thing. When you look at this, first of all, if there someone come into your assembly, what assembly? The synagogue. No one else could. You couldn't even go in the synagogue if you weren't a Hebrew. That wasn't for you. And when you look at the way that it was set up, women sat in one place, men sat in another place. You couldn't just go strolling up in there if you were uncircumcised. You couldn't even wear shoes in there. That was considered holy ground. You had to kick your dogs off at the door. They had lavers in there where you wash your hands and wash your feet. You couldn't just go strolling up and so this is a righteous assembly. You just couldn't go strolling up. So nobody's going to be in there but Hebrews. This is who he's talking to. There was going to be no Greeks up in there. Did not they run on Paul talking about you brought a Greek up in here uncircumcised? Timothy had to be circumcised. His father was a Hebrew who was living as a Greek. His mother was a Hebrewess. Hebrewess. But they thought Timothy was a Greek. But he certainly couldn't have gone up in that synagogue if he wasn't circumcised. They would have strung him all up. So he says in 9, if you have respect to persons, you commit sin and are convinced of the Torah, which is the law, as transgressors. Now, if we're not supposed to be keeping the law, I've said this before, if we're not supposed to be keeping the law, why is it always right here in the New Testament, you Christians are always, we're not supposed to keep the law. This is James, the brother of Yeshua talking. This is your Messiah whom you call Jesus. This is his brother talking. And his brother says that we're supposed to be keeping the law. That's in 9. That's in 9 right there, Torah. Okay, so let's look at it over here in 9. Okay, in 9 right here. If you have respect to persons, you commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. So if you're not supposed to be keeping the law, what's this man talking about? Okay, because I hear you bumping your gums all the time about we're not supposed to be keeping the law. We're not supposed to be keeping the law. We're not supposed to keep. We don't keep the law since when? Says who? Your lily white pastor, who you follow with verve and vigor and zeal. And you'll sit up and listen to TD Snakes say the same thing. You'll listen to Creflo and his dollars saying the same thing. But it's right here in James. Who you going to believe? Somewhere in the scripture I read that it said that he's coming for those who keep the law. Heck, even the dragon in Revelation, when he attacks the church of Israel, he attacks those who keep the law and the testimony of Christ. So you show me where you're not supposed to be keeping the law. I dare you. Show me. It's right here, right? And this is James, right? 12 is James 2:10. Whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he's guilty of all. See, that's what you guys like to use. But what you don't understand is that the law couldn't save you. That's why Messiah had to come. Because if the law could have saved you, you would have kept it. But that doesn't mean that the law is done away with. Because what happens here is that if you offend in one point, you're guilty of it all. You are, because you've transgressed the law. What is sin? Sin is transgression of the law. That's what sin is. It's transgression of the law. So that doesn't mean you can go out here and rob a store. You'll go to jail for that. It doesn't mean that you can lay down and have relations with your uncle's wife. Not only is there a law out in the world for that, there's a law in the scriptures for that. So the law is not done away with. You can't go around handling babies. There's a law against that in the world and in the scriptures. So the law is not done away with. You just want to live like a heathen. That's all. You want to eat your pork. You want to eat your shrimp. You want to know this tastes so good. Okay, so I tell you what. You like catfish, you like pork, you like shrimp. That's the garbage can of the ocean. So if you like eating out of a garbage can, why don't you just go out in the front of your house? I just emptied out Mama's refrigerator. 2 cans full of food that, I was like in denial. Like, I have to admit it. I was in denial. I'm trying to, I want my mama to come home, but she's not coming home. So when I went through her refrigerator, there was moldy food and all kinds of stuff in there. I was turning my stomach, but I had to clean the refrigerator out. The father had to deal with me and say, look, she's not coming home. You need to get up now, and there's things that you need to do. Start taking care of your house. So you're more than welcome to come over here and go through the garbage can and eat my mama's old moldy food. You want to eat your shrimp? It's the garbage can of the ocean. Come eat my mama's moldy food. You want to eat your lobsters and your catfish, the bottom feeders? They eat the fecal matter of other fish and dead fish. Come eat my mama's moldy food out the garbage can. Why don't you do that? There's a law. We're supposed to be clean. Therefore, the things that we put in us have to be clean. Y'all don't hear me. 12:11, I said, for he that said, do not commit adultery, also said, do not kill. Now, if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, you become a transgressor of the law. I just gave you an example of that. Okay, listen. The word kill is fainéants, criminal homicide. Okay, so it's not just kill, because your country can tell you go off to fight a war, right? And Israel, how many wars were Israel in? How many men did David kill? David wasn't allowed to build a sanctuary because he had too much blood on his hands. But David had to defend the country, so they had to kill. They had to go off and kill giants and everything else. That's different from criminal homicide. Criminal homicide is laying in wait for someone so you can sneak up on them and take their life illegally. That's kill right here. That's the kill that's being spoken of. So, see, people don't read. Right? So it says don't commit adultery. So don't sleep with your neighbor's wife. And it's amazing that this is, thank you. I just got something. So David did that. He wasn't supposed to sleep with Uriah's wife because that would have been adultery. But in order to have his wife, David had to kill him. That's criminal homicide. And he tried to do it in a way so that it didn't look like the blood was on his hands, but the blood was on his hands because he's the one that gave the order. Put him at the front of the line, and if he gets killed, then okay, he's a dead man. See, and that's the only way he could have his wife, because the husband, her first husband, had to be dead. Y'all don't hear me though, because you don't study the law. I don't even know it all, but I know enough to know that the law is still in effect. Some of y'all, women out there, you're on your third husband. And you're still married to your first husband, so you're adulteresses. Why? Because your first husband is still alive. He's not dead. You're running around here following these Edomites around, doing their laws. I don't want to be with you no more, so we're going to get a divorce. So you get a divorce, and then you meet some other dude, and then you marry him. Well, it's a bogus marriage because your first husband is still alive. I'm going to tell you how broken I was when I found this out. Because I had to go to the Father. I was in heavy repentance when I found, because my first wife, I was her second husband. When this was, I said, oh no, I'm an adulterer. Oh man, I mean, I was broken, because even though I wasn't in walking as a Hebrew then, understanding who I was then, I was still in the scriptures, and I was trying to find, and the Father was leading me, bringing me slowly, bit by bit. You're gonna get there. Just come on. Just keep coming. And I was trying. I'm coming at it. I'm trying to, even inside of churchianity. I was not. No one else was looking at it like this. I can guarantee you, inside of churchianity, because I had friends around me who were not. And they told me, well, I was you different kind of Christian. What kind of Christian are you? I would always tell them I'm not a Christian. But I was inside of churchianity. But I'm not a Christian. I'm following the Messiah. That's your label. You keep that label. I'm reading on these pages, and what I'm seeing on these pages and what I see inside this building is two different things. And I was dealing with that for years, and the Father was like, see, you're the one I want. You're the one I want. I had pastors and I was at Crenshaw Christian Center, Fred Price's church. People, how did you get in here? Who are you? How'd you get in here? They even said that to me in Motown. A Christian in Motown? How did he get in here? Who let him in? Because there was a bunch of devils in there. But I was on a mission. I was given a mission. I completed my mission. It was time to get out. The Father said, you can see it, but you can't be it. The offer was made. I could have grabbed the brass ring and went behind the golden door, but I didn't. I said, no, I think I'm going to stay on this side. Because I didn't like what I was seeing, and I was scared of what was behind that door. But the Father had already told me what would happen to me if I went behind that door. So I was scared of that door. So I went on about my business. So here we are. He said, don't commit adultery and do not kill. But if you commit no adultery and you killed, you become a transgressor of the law. Sin is transgression of the law. So speak ye and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. For he shall have judgment without mercy that has showed no mercy, and mercy rejoices against judgment. Okay? So now let's run that over to the Hebrew scriptures, and I got it right here, and then let's look at it again. Okay? For whosoever shall keep the whole Torah and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, do not commit adultery, said also, do not kill. Now, if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the Torah. So speak ye, and so do, as they that shall be judged by the Torah of liberty. Do as they that shall be judged by the Torah. In other words, do it like you, behave like you know what the end consequence is. If this is what you speak, then this is what you do. Act like that because you know what the end consequence is. You're going to be judged by the law of liberty, Torah of liberty. Okay. For he shall have judgment without mercy, that has showed no mercy, and mercy rejoices against judgment. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him? You can say it all you want to, but what's your actions doing? What's it saying? Edomite came and asked me, look, man, I need your help. And I told him just like this. I said, listen, when your wife died in your arms, who was up on the phone with you all night? When your father died in front of you, who was up on the phone with you all night, knowing I had to go to work in the morning? Okay. Every time you got into a situation in a scrape, and you got scared, who did you call in the middle of the night and wake up, and who stayed up with you? I said, so after you got your inheritance, did you come see me? No, you didn't come see me. You hung out over there with your whiskey friends, and you drank yourself into a condition and into a position, and now your whole world is about to crumble around you, and who'd you call? And who stayed up with you all night? And when you got into a position where you could no longer be there, and you said, I got to move my RV, I got to park somewhere, where did you go? I'll let you come here. So not only the Edomite, I do that for anybody. Because I know that, man, look, if you only knew about my childhood, some of you know, okay, about the way I grew up and how I grew up. And then I put in a couple of videos and how dog dirty my family was to me and my siblings growing up. The people who should have been nurturing us were treating us very badly. But even as a child, I said something to my mother and others. I'll never do you like you did me. So when you need me, I'll be there for you. I'll never do you like you did me. And I meant that. And I'm living that today. The time has come for me to take care of my mom, and I'm keeping my promise. I'm not going to do what was done to me. I advocate for her in a way that was never advocated for me. I fight for her in a way that I was never fought for. And I'm not doing it because, I want something out of it. My scriptures tell me that I need to honor my mother and my father. If I want length of days on this planet, I have to honor them. My father didn't leave me nothing, not a dime. All I have is his name. And I always honored his name. I never wanted anyone to look and say, look at that boy. Daddy ought to be ashamed of him. I did everything I could to make him proud of me. Even through everything that I went through. Same with my mother. I went to Motown to make her proud. Why? Because my grandmother killed her dream of going to Motown. That's the only reason I went. Was for my mother's glory. How did I get my contract? On my mother's name. Because they knew my mom. They all grew up together. When I said her name, I didn't sing one note. They heard my music and they was like, wait a minute, that's your mama? I was like, yeah. Blam, contract hit the table. So I did all of that to make my mother proud. She wasn't, but I did it to make her proud. It turned out to be like the worst nightmare I ever lived at home and there, but nevertheless, I'm good to my word. If I say I'm going to do something for you, I'm going to do it for you, right? And that's the way we need to be, Israel. You need to keep your word. If you give it. If someone asks you for a thing that's not going to hurt, it's not yours to hold back from them. How do you know that the Father didn't give it to you so that you could be a blessing and get a blessing? You don't know. So how would you you got $100 in your, man, I just need $1 so I can get a sandwich. I can't help you, dog. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, it's not up to you to hold that back if that man want to get a drink or whatever. If he say he want $1 for a sandwich, buy him a sandwich. Those are the words that came out of his mouth. Even if you suspect he want to use $1 for something else, it's not yours to hold back from him. Because you'll shoot yourself in the foot for the blessing that you missed to give. How do you know you're not being tested to see where you stand or what's going on with you? You don't. You don't know this. So anyway, let me get back over in here. Okay. So we were in the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, I believe. We were over here. Oh no. We were over here. Okay. So what does it profit, my brethren, that a man say he have faith and have no works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked or destitute of daily food, I was just talking about this, okay? And one of you saying to him, depart in peace, depart in shalom. Be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which they are needful to the body. What does it profit? Your words don't mean anything. If he says he's hungry, feed him. If he says he's naked and he needs some clothes, give him the coat off your back. You got a closet full of crap. You don't, what? If a person asks you for something, give it to him. This is what the scriptures are saying right here. So, but you want to be holier than thou, Captain so-and-so, Minister so-and-so. You know, I got thousands of people following me or whatever, you know, but that doesn't matter. None of that matters at the end of the day. When you stand before the Father, it's all wormwood. It's nothing. All he's looking for is that, what did you do for the nation? Your brother asked you, and he was hungry. You had a fatted calf sitting right there. You didn't even give him a piece of the fat. Even so, faith, if it has not works, is dead being alone. Yea, a man say 18, thou hast faith and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show you my faith by my works. 19, thou believest that there is one Elohim, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. You Negroes don't even tremble when you do this. You're not even afraid. Like I told you, I had someone say to me, I'll tell God when I see him. I was like, ooh, let me get away from you because I don't want to be nowhere near when that spark fly. When that lightning bolt drop, I don't want none of it coming near me. I'll tell God when I see him. Okay, you go ahead and do that then. I don't have the cojones for that one. I'm getting away from you. I don't have it. 20. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he yet offered Yitzhak his son upon the altar? See, all this stuff is right here in the book, but you forget that it's right here. And the reminder that you get when the time comes and you get a reminder, you're going to remember this. Oh yeah, that was in the book, wasn't it? Dang, I let that one get past me. My former manager's daughter, Adrian, wrote a song called I Let Another One Go. And for years that song broke me because when I heard her sing the song, and when I heard her recording of it, I didn't hear her singing, I heard the recording of the song. And when I heard it, the lyrics jumped right out at me because I knew exactly what she was talking about. The song was about this. Someone came to me, and I said no. And when it all came around, she was like, oops, I let another one go. Oops, I let another one go. Oops, I let another one. See, that's like when you be careful how you entertain strangers because you never know when you entertain angels unaware. Someone asks you for something, you be like, hey, you know what, hold up, I'll be right back. And then you take 2 steps and turn around and you be like, because your second mind would be like, I know I should have, and you turn around and it's over. It's gone. Oops, I let another one go. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, Adrian, where'd you get that lyric? That is so, that's hard. We were doing, even now when I'm writing, I'm not trying to make you dance. If you dance, okay, that's fine. But right now I'm doing the stuff that's coming out of me now is more worship than anything else. I tried to pull up a Hallelujah Faith and go back to work on it. I dance like David danced. It's a funky little tune. Every time I hear it, I dance. But I tried to pull it back up and work on it, and I couldn't. The Father said, no, you're going this way. I need you over here right now. You did that already. You can work on that later. I need you over here right now. And that's why I've been up for the past few days, getting this thing out of my head and trying to get it out and down. And last night it had me broken. It had me broken. He was like, there it is. That's what I want. And out of that comes this, what we're talking about right now. So, was not Abraham, our father, 21, justified by works when he had offered Yitzhak, his son, upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by his work was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which said, Abraham believed in Jehovah, and he counted it to him for righteousness, and he was called a friend of Elohim. I can read that in the King James for those of you who have difficulty with his scriptures or his word. Because some people can't understand the King James either. They need it in the good news fashion. You know, they need that the new International Revised version. You know, the one that they got nerve the way they translate that one. It doesn't even hardly read the same. So 24, you see then how that by works a man is justified and not by faith only. See, when Yahshua HaMashiach returns again, he wants to see us working in the field. And we need to be working among our brethren and trying to help our brothers. We need to unify the nation. We need to come together and stop letting, the world keep us divided. Well, that Negro said, I don't believe it. As soon as the Edomite said, you know what I heard, man? Well, your brother told you that 2 weeks ago, but you didn't believe it. I deal with that all the time in my family, but that's okay. Likewise, also, was not Rechab the harlot justified by works when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way? When they stormed the city, she said, look, I'll let you in, but just make sure me and my family get out alive. And she hid them out and stashed them. They did their dirty work, and they saved her. Say, you need to go that way because we're going to go this way and we're going to wreck everything, so go out that way. For as the body without the Ruach or the Spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. Okay? Stop tripping on your brothers. Stop saying that you don't know who is who or what is what, and help your brother out when he asks you. Simple. It's simple. This is not rocket science. The Father says that we need to be treating each other as we would treat ourselves. I can lie to me all day, but does it do me any good if I lie to myself? No. So most of the time you stand in the mirror and you talk to yourself and you put yourself in check. And then you go out and you do what you do. So if that's how you're going to treat you, right? You're going to put good clothes on you. You're going to make sure your body is bathed. You're going to make sure you're going to do all these things to make sure you're okay, but you won't do that for your brother when you see him. Okay? So if you need to get an attorney for whatever reason for yourself, would you keep that from somebody if they ask you for it? We need to be more careful about the way we treat one another, Mishpachah. We really do. Because I want you to know that the Most High is watching. And there's not anything that any of us can do to get away with that we think that we're going to miss and we're going to get away with. Abba Yah is watching. And he's paying attention to who's doing what to whom. And who's not doing what to whom. So that's all I'm going to do right now. I just had to bring that out and leave that on the table for you. And I'm going to let it go. But I'm going to let it go with this little piece. And I just don't I don't get it. What is it that we do to each other that we cannot trust one another with simple little things? It's a little thing when someone asks you for something. It's not a major thing. It's not going to take. It's not no skin off your nose to help your brother out. Really, it isn't. But for some reason, we think that it is, and we don't do anything to help our brothers. So, but that's it. I'm gonna leave you with that, Miss Baka, and I'll see you later.